I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money. I really need that money. Really need that money. I need that money. I really, really do. I need that money. I really need that money. Really need that money. Really, that money. That money. Lovely Super Bowl Sunday. I'm doing pretty good. Well, I'm recovering from yesterday's marathon. To say the least, we'll talk about that. In fact, that is the major point of discussion on today's show. Recapping what we did yesterday, how it went, things that went right, things that went wrong, and looking forward to the rest of the week, right? So, today is Sunday, February 11th, 2024. Today actually is Super Bowl Sunday in the United States, meaning today is the big game, the one national championship for the NFL. Because of that, tons of people in the United States today will be busy. They're going to be at parties. They're going to be watching the show themselves, having their own celebrations. Because of this, likely today, I'm expecting way less stream attendance and engagement and support, just being honest. If there's so few people that are going to be around the internet just to watch random stuff like my content, then probably we're going to see a big dip, and that's okay. That was to be expected. This is also why I did my marathon for the Super Bowl yesterday, so that way people would actually show up and not be busy on Super Bowl Sunday. It would have been pretty silly to do it today. I'm very, very excited for the rest of the week due to the progress that we made yesterday. But things definitely did not go according to plan. Let's put it that way. You know, with this whole Super Bowl Bash event that we had been planning, right? We had been talking about a variety of stuff to do and never really set in stone too much. The two things that we absolutely set in stone was, number one, we were going to simulate the Super Bowl in Madden 24, and that actually ended up being probably the best thing all day, I would say. Shockingly good. Lots of suspense. The game's AI was pretty good. It was entertaining to watch these two teams go at it when I didn't even know anything about them, and people were trying to educate me on the fly about these teams as I was commentating on it. It went really well, basically. I really enjoyed that segment of the marathon. The other segment that was a guarantee 100% that we were doing was going to be Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, trying to unlock the NFL player class and getting as far as I could in Chapter 5 to try to advance the game so that we can actually play the Dondoko Island simulator mode later in the week, because that's going to be co-op with my wife, Kat. And we need to make that progress to unlock it so that it's available on Valentine's Day, which is this Wednesday. Let me put it this way. We did everything we had set out to do and intended to do. It just took way longer than originally we thought. And even people who had played the game before didn't realize how long that segment was going to take to do it. And for those who stuck around, it was an enjoyable experience. We were hanging out, we were talking, you know, having a good time while I was doing it. But at the very same time, a lot of people left and didn't really come back. They kind of left and were like, oh, this is too much Like a Dragon. And it is what it is. That was not the original intention of the marathon, to be 3.5 hours of Like a Dragon, nor did anyone really expect it was going to be, but we just kind of got locked into it. It is what it is, but hey, the rest of the day went well, and what we're going to do is we're going to recap segment by segment kind of how it went, and tell you, because some of the videos corrupted, and that really sucked, because I couldn't get all the videos live last night. Some of them, you know, I had to wait for the stream, the archive stream that I saved, to process. Once it processed, then you can like download the entire stream as a video, and then you can edit out the portion that's missing. Here's the real big bummer, all right? On YouTube, and this doesn't make sense to me, if you do a long stream, like my stream yesterday started at 10:45 a.m. and ended at like 9:15 p.m. Yes, this was actually one of the longest marathons I've ever done, because again, we went so long with Like a Dragon that it kind of threw the whole schedule out of whack, and so we ended up going super late. Usually I end my marathons around 7:30, and we went almost 2 extra hours last night, okay? Now, basically, when you have a really long stream like that, YouTube doesn't even allow you to edit on YouTube, because traditionally what happens is when you stream on YouTube, it auto saves an archive of your stream, and let's say you need to edit out a clip of that, you need to edit out a part of that for a playthrough, or, you know, for me, I'm always locally recording while I'm also streaming. So right now I'm recording this podcast as a video that I'll upload later, but if something goes wrong and it corrupts or has an issue, I can always rip this portion of the stream out and make a separate video on YouTube. Well, you can't do that with a marathon, because when YouTube sees a stream that's like, I'm trying to remember what the limit is. I want to say it's 5 hours, but it might be 6. Whenever YouTube sees a stream of a certain length, it says, error, stream too long, cannot edit at all. Like, what? Yeah, oh well, stream's too long, can't do it. We just have this arbitrary rule that when a stream is this long, you can't edit the stream anymore. Great. So anything you do of a certain length on YouTube is basically unchangeable, and you have to have been doing backups, or else you can't ever do anything with it. And that's what happened to me yesterday. Was I couldn't fix it right away. Like there was no way for me to get the corrupted videos live because of that. So anyway, let's recap yesterday, everything that happened. Then let's talk about the rest of the week, what you can expect as a result of yesterday, which is good. So we started off yesterday with a fun level 1 podcast. Obviously, I was dressed up in the NFL jersey, and we talked all about the show and stuff like that. I actually had a big gaming news segment yesterday where we covered all kinds of news from around the web. The FTC going after at Microsoft for laying off so many employees right after acquiring Activision Blizzard. Yves Guillemot saying that Skull and Bones is a quadruple A game, and other things like that. So it was fun. And then we jumped into the event, and the first thing that we did is we did a poll, and you guys voted for Tekken 8. And I said, all right, let's play some Tekken 8, but let's make it NFL themed for the Super Bowl event. So we actually took the player King and brought him into the character creator and dressed him up like a Super Bowl, like an NFL player. We had shoulder pads and a helmet and everything, and colored him like I think it was like people were saying similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? So that was fun, and then we went online, and admittedly, you know, it wasn't great, and here's why. Number one, I was drinking. So already I had a beer in me, so my timing was kind of off. And then number two, I was playing better opponents, and these opponents knew really good stuff. Like, for example, it seems like characters like Jin and Kazuya, you know, the Mishima line, they're just crazy good at Tekken. If they get one hit in, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a standing up move. It could be the counter hit uppercut. It could be the sweep kick. It could be a lunging kick. It could be an overhead hook kick. Every hit turns into a juggle. It's crazy because those characters are just like juggle fiends. They're just looking for the one hit and then juggle you across the screen for 50%. Do it one more time and you're dead, or just trap you in the corner and you're dead. And I'm playing with King and I'm like, I don't have anything like that. I really don't. Like, I can get a hit in here or there, and maybe I'll get a juggle every once in a while, but most of my offense is based on counter hits and throws, and maybe every once in a while a punish. You know, it's so different playing with certain characters in Tekken. And again, it seems to me like the Mishimas just have everything going for them, right? So anyway, you know, I'm facing those kind of opponents, and they're just wiping the floor with me. But then I would come back. Like, I fought a Jin, who the first game, like, double perfected me. I was like, oh my god. And then in the second game, I kind of got a little bit more concentrating and heated, and I read some of his moves, and I realized some openings, and I beat him, and I beat the set. I won the set, and he had, like, double the amount of ranking points that I did. And I beat him. I was like, wow. But overall, definitely, I lost more than I won. You know, like, it was a losing stream. But what can you do? You're not going to always have a great one, especially now I'm fighting better opponents. I'm going to have to get better at the game. I didn't rage or get too upset. It's just some of the stuff is kind of ridiculous. But Tekken's always been like that the different characters play completely different play styles. And now that I'm starting to see this character knowledge, I'm understanding how certain characters play. And it's like, wow, that character is just so much better than, you know, I'm using King. He's just not that good in my opinion. So anyway, so that was the beginning of the marathon. And then food was ready. So we had pizza bombs. These homemade snacks that my wife made in the oven with dough and cheese and pepperoni and all kinds of seasonings and stuff, and they were super good. And that was a good thing to break up the gameplay. I already did the podcast and the Tekken, so it was good to break that up a bit. And of course, the complete negative trolls show up and are like, you know, oh, that's really not authentic. And I'm like, authentic? You got to be an idiot. It's a Super Bowl event. These are supposed to be like snack foods that you would just eat as like a tailgater or something. This is not like Nana's authentic Italian kitchen making a pizza bomb. How do you make an authentic pizza bomb? It's an American creation. Like, what are you talking about? But people are just so fucking stupid. They got to make a negative out of everything. Keep in mind, these are the people who, they're watching my stream just to make fun of it. Meanwhile, they're probably sitting at home alone, miserable with their life, and this is how they get their pleasure. If they would just get off their lazy asses and go do something positive and productive in their lives for 5 minutes, maybe they would meet someone who they could have a relationship with, and then they could make them great food. Just like I was eating during my marathon. But they actually have to get off their ass to stop making fun of people on the internet for 5 minutes, and they can't do that. So that was pretty funny. Then we continued on, and it was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Now here is definitely where we veered in a side direction from what I thought the marathon was going to be. First of all, I started drinking Long Island iced tea, which was really good. It was Captain Morgan's mix. It tasted great. But basically, I thought, oh, we're going to do 2 hours of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And the goal was to unlock this optional dungeon in the game they call the Labyrinth in Hawaii. And this is a 10-stage dungeon, like 10 levels. And each level, there's mini-boss fights. There's lots of items and things you find. And basically, then you rescue certain people. By the end, you get tons of rewards. You get tons of currency. You get great upgrade items like weapons and armor for your characters. You get crafting items for the blacksmith. Essentially, people are like, yeah, this is where you grind in the game. This is the grind dungeon. But it's fun because you fight unique enemies and things in there. It's worth it. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. And by the way, I had actually unlocked jobs last time when we had played, I had unlocked the Aquanaut and I had unlocked the Fire Dancer. So we had 2 new jobs to try out instead of it just being this default jobs that we had. It was a whole new level of combat and stuff. It was fun. You know, the Aquanaut's cool. He's like swimming around on his surfboard, beating people up with water and stuff. It's pretty funny. So we got through the entire dungeon, but then realized that was the intro. The intro only does 5 stages, and then it kicks you out. And like, oh, that's not the real dungeon. The real dungeon, you have to go back in again. And I'm like, well, I have to go back in. The goal of me playing this game was unlocking the NFL player class, which I needed to hit a confidence level of 5 and have money to buy the class and unlock it. To get confidence level of 5, you had to go to this vocational school and pay a ton of money to take the courses there to level up your confidence, okay? So I needed to go back in. So I did, and I'm like, all right, we'll just run right through this dungeon quick. The dungeon took 2 hours for 10 stages. It took forever. It was long, drawn out. No story in there, but just insane amounts of, you know, combat. And the thing is, it's not that I didn't have a good time. I did. It was fun, and I was leveling up these new jobs, and you guys were hanging out with me, and we were having fun conversation and everything during it. So it wasn't bad. It was just tedious. And I think it's kind of designed to be that way. Like, that's the tedious part of the game, where if you just want to gel one night, you're coming home from school or work, and you just want to relax and just play through a dungeon and get great rewards. You know, it's nothing too serious, nothing too heavy. That's what those dungeons are for. So, played through the dungeon, had a good time with it, but took forever. So by the time we got out of the dungeon, I had already been playing this game almost 3 hours, and everyone's like, oh my god, like, that was not intended. People had said, oh, you're going to play Call of Duty? Are you going to play Pal World? And I'm like, honestly, we don't have time. What we need to do is, after I finish with this, we got to go right into the Super Bowl simulation, because we don't know how long that's going to take. And I want to be able to do that. That's like the most important thing of the marathon, right? So basically, I get out of the dungeon, and we're like, okay, we're going to unlock the football player. So we go to the vocational school, and then it starts another mission. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, it starts a whole other mission and all this. I'm like, oh my god. It's just dragging on and on. Finally, we get to the school. We take the courses. I pass the courses after a couple tries. I hit confidence level 5. We go back to the travel agency. We unlocked a ton of jobs. We got the football player, the hula dancer, the kung fu guy, and the samurai, right? So we got 4 different ones. I'm like, well, this is excellent. Now we're going to have all these jobs available when I play the game again, and we're really going to get to delve into the meat of what the game's supposed to be. And so we went and did 1 or 2 fights just to see what the NFL player was. And then I was like, we can't play anymore. It's been like almost 3.5 hours. We can't keep doing this, right? So I definitely had a lot of fun with it. But man, that was not what was intended, right? The other thing was, I missed out. My food was ready. My food had been ready for like an hour. And it was ice cold. It was homemade quesadillas that my wife had made. And I was playing the game for so long, I didn't eat. So basically, I was like, man, this sucks. Because now I was going to do a whole big video showcasing my wife's food and everything, but it was already cold. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that now, right? So basically, I told Kat, make the 7-layer dip, get that ready. I'm going to start simulating the Super Bowl. We'll do that. I'll get halfway through to like the halftime show. Then I'll go grab food and I'll come up and eat it with the audience, and then we'll continue and finish the Super Bowl sim. So we set it up, 10-minute quarters, and started simming the Super Bowl, and it was super fun. Like, that was probably my favorite part of the whole day, was the Super Bowl sim. I wasn't expecting it to be as suspenseful and fun as it was. It's also the first time I've watched anything NFL related or really commentated on it in 100 years. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time, and it seemed like the audience was getting into it. It was the Kansas City Chiefs against the San Francisco 49ers. We actually had the right field, which is the Vegas field, right? And it was really, really back and forth. There were fumbles. There were, horrible calls trying to do plays, and one receiver just outright dropped the ball at a critical play. He had it in his hands. He went, oops. And it actually threw the whole game into disarray, because they would have been like massively, great forward progression and possibly in the lead, and they just dropped it. Like, oh my god. So it was fun. So we got halfway through, and it took 45 minutes to get halfway into this, and I'm like, wow. So the time, I thought maybe the Super Bowl sim would take an hour. It was taking way longer than that, and I'm like, so as you can see, this definitely did not go according to my original plan. So I went and got food, came up, ate the quesadillas live. They were absolutely delicious. Had some of the dip, but it was like the dip was kind of messy to eat in here. I was like, all right, let's continue. We did the second half. It was down to the wire, down to the final play of the game exciting. So if you didn't see my Super Bowl sims from yesterday, I strongly recommend you check them out. In fact, I made part 1 the featured video on the channel, and I'll probably leave it like that for a while. I want people to watch it because it went really well, especially for someone like me who hasn't watched NFL for a million years. It was actually quite fun. So for those who were here live, I hope you enjoyed it. If not, be sure to catch it. Don't miss it. It's about an hour and a half between the 2 parts, okay? So then after that, we were basically, it was almost 9 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, I had been here since 10:30 in the morning. And it was almost 9 o'clock at night. Normally, my marathons end at 7:30, and here we are. It's like super late. And I was like, well, I owe you guys a DSP Tries It. We're doing it. And so I would say, the other favorite thing that I did during the marathon, I brought back DSP Tries It. It's episode like 135 or something like that. It is currently live over on DSP Reacts if you didn't see it. I reviewed Mr. Beast chocolate bars, okay? A lot of people didn't like the fact that I was honest. They can't take it when something that's meant to be super popular and hyped gets properly criticized. Because I was fair. I didn't slam the product. I tasted it for the first time live and was honest about it. It's not terrible. At least it's not terrible. I've had terrible chocolate. Ugh. Terrible chocolate's the worst. It has like this chalkiness to it. It's dry and it has this weird flavor because they don't use good ingredients and it tastes terrible. So I've had awful chocolate before. Mr. Beast chocolate is not that, okay? But at the same time, I didn't like it personally. I just didn't enjoy it at all. So I hope that you'll go watch the DSP tries it and give it a look yourself. I mean, I factually present why I didn't like it, which I'm not going to spoil here, but there was something about, let me put it this way. There was something about the Crunch Bar that I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is supposed to be like, oh, you're paying a ton of money for this, and this is what they give you, and it actually pissed me off, okay? But anyway, I hope you'll watch the review and enjoy it, okay? So overall, at the end of the day, here's what we had. The podcast, an hour and a half of Tekken 8 creating an NFL King and playing with King. 3.5 hours of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to upload. Then the Super Bowl sim, which was 2 parts. The Pizza Bombs video, which was 1 part. And then the DSP tries of the Mr. Beast candy bars, and then daily wrap. So that was a lot of content all in one day, all to upload at once. So I go to do it, and one of the Like a Dragon videos is corrupted. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm in here, I wanna get out of here. And by the way, not only do I have to upload all this content, I also gotta set up the playlists for today's React show. So I gotta do extra work on top of that. I'm like, oh my god. So now the video is corrupted. And again, I spent like 25 minutes trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't edit the video out of the archive stream. I couldn't download the archive stream because the stream was still processing, and it was processing till almost midnight. So it was just a nightmare. It really was frustrating because I love doing these events, but if something does go wrong during the event, then it just kind of really taxes me. And like, I was so exhausted last night after having done that crazy marathon, and it took a lot out of me. Let's put it that way. All right. So anyway, I uploaded everything, did everything, and and it ended, and I was like, all right. Good news is we did what we set out to do. We did what we set out to accomplish during the event. Maybe it didn't go exactly according to plan. The timing was definitely off. I know people would have preferred to see more variety during the event, but at least we got everything done, and I think there was some quality stuff there. Like I said, the Super Bowl sims, great. The Mr. Beast review, great. So there was some good stuff there overall over the course of the day, okay? All right. So that was yesterday, and it was wild. It was. Today, we're back to normal, thankfully. And I'm happy for that. And now, honestly, if you look at the schedule for like the rest of the month, everything should be normal, albeit I'm going to probably do 1 or 2 more retro react streams over on DSP Throwback next week, and then maybe in 2 weeks after that. But for the most part, everything will be kind of normal. Regular gameplay streams, the react show of DSP versus the internet on Sundays. The only thing that will be a little special is the co-op I'm going to do with my wife starting later this week, which we're going to talk about in a moment, okay? All right, so the good news is, overnight, the stream did process on YouTube, and with the help of others, I was able to rip out the missing piece of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So, all the footage is now live everywhere. Anything you want to watch. On this channel, you have the podcast, 3 parts of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, in playlist in order properly now, the Tekken 8 gameplay with King, and the Super Bowl sim, all available on this channel, okay? On the React channel, you've got the Pizza Bombs video and me reviewing the Mr. Beast candy bars, the return of DSP tries it, okay? So I hope you'll give all those a look. Enjoy the content. And let's continue on now, shall we?